No matter how you earn your money, from a job or from your business, there's a couple places you can put it, right? Under your mattress or in a bank. Okay, there's a few other places you can put it too. But what about options that you're not aware of? Options that can help you maintain your money, grow your money, invest your money. A lot of times, as people of color, we don't really know about a lot of those options. So, I want to introduce you to someone today that can help you. Stay tuned and we'll talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneur Insider. I'm your host, Tia Robertson. Thank you for joining us on the show that tells you all about entrepreneurs that you need to know about and news that can help you grow your business. Before we get started, I have a quick trivia question for you. Stay tuned and let me know if you know the answer. Did you know the answer to that trivia question? Well, for more trivia about Black history and entrepreneurs, be sure to tune in every week to this show, Entrepreneur Insider, and help us grow. Share this episode within your community, your friends, your family, your colleagues, and more. Everyone will enjoy learning about it, whether they're an entrepreneur or not. In this episode, I want to introduce you to a resource that I mentioned in a previous episode. Her name is Dawn, and she's the person that can help you determine the best way to grow and manage your money, not just for today, but for future generations. Also, to help you do things like buy a house or start a business. So she's someone you definitely want to connect with out there where there's a lot of people saying you need this insurance or you need to do that. It's hard to determine who's right, who's wrong, who just wants your money. So it's really important to have a resource that you can trust, that's knowledgeable, that can look at where you are and help you get to where you're going. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Dawn Mabry Chestnut. Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of Entrepreneur Insider. I'm super excited to introduce you to our featured entrepreneur. Her name is Dawn Mabry Chestnut, and she is the owner of Mabry Consulting. Dawn is a financial management expert. Her clients are often women entrepreneurs with families who want to manage their personal and professional financial resources properly. She's a trusted advisor for those who need help with debt management, investments, retirement planning, inheritance distribution, investment management services, tax strategies, and estate planning services. So, thank you for joining us today, Dawn. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Tia.
Yeah, no problem. We love learning all about our entrepreneurs of color, especially women. And so, before we begin our interview, is there a quote or like a guiding principle that inspires you or helps you keep motivated, as you operate your business?
Every year when you're looking at goals and that sort of thing, and some years back, something came across and it said, pick your word for the year. So I don't know that it's a quote or a motto or whatever, but I picked the word forward some time ago. And that has just really resonated with me. It's just, okay, stuff's going to happen, but keep progressing onward and upward. Just keep it moving.
Great word for the year, definitely. I think a lot of us need to keep moving forward, so definitely inspirational word. Okay, so can you tell us why did you start Mabry Consulting and when did you start it? Like what made you start it and why?
Okay.
Or yeah,
Okay.
when?
Well, I started my consulting company more than 10 years ago. And I started out managing grant making funds. And literally it came about because it was an opportunity that fell in my lap. The position I was in, they no longer needed my position and the organization was changing directions. So, I was out in looking for, addition new employment. And as I was looking for new employment, that employer would come back to me and they're like, "Oh, we still need help on this. Would you mind doing this on retainer while you continue to look?" And that sort of thing, and managing their grant making funds. And so that's literally how I became my own business more than 10 years ago. It was, it just sort of fell in my lap. I wish I had a great story where I was saying this was my master plan all
Yeah.
along, but it was not.
No, but sometimes, yeah, sometimes that's how the best businesses start, though. People see something in us, and it kind of flourishes and develops. So definitely, that's still a good story. Right. Yeah. So there are a lot of similar titles that people have that are close to yours, right? Like a financial planner, a financial advisor, a financial consultant. For someone that's not in that industry, like myself and a lot of people out here, like what is the difference, like a general difference with each? Or is there a difference and people just, you know, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Is there a difference, right? Or is it more like people just want to kind of have their own title to make them seem like they're different?
Well, I think there certainly is a difference, a financial planner versus a financial advisor. So typically, a financial planner is someone who focuses on your comprehensive financial life. So looking at everything from your financial goals, your income, your expenses, every different financial aspect, retirement, different types of insurance, your estate planning needs. They're looking at you and your family and your business comprehensively, to make sure they have a good picture of your finances so that the recommendations that they provide make sense according to your entire picture and how all of those things are interconnected. That's typically a financial planner. Now, when you talk about a financial advisor, that typically in the industry is focusing on someone who may only work with you on your investments. So if you have a brokerage account and you have that discretionary income that you're using in the market to invest either for retirement or other types of financial goals, or you're just, speculating in the market and that sort of thing, typically a financial advisor is someone who solely focuses on investments. They're not looking at your comprehensive picture, just your investments.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. That is actually very helpful. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So I know I did an overall of your bio when I introduced you, but can you tell us a little bit more about, maybe consulting? What do you do? Who do you work with? How do you help them?
Okay. So my business now, I focus on working with individuals on the financial planning side and also the financial advising side. So I take on clients who are interested in just having someone work with them on their investments or looking at their comprehensive financial lives, and putting together recommendations that make sense. So the typical person that comes to me, they might be a small business owner. They might Their business may just have them as an employee, or they might have one or two other employees, and they may need help with, okay, maybe they started their business when they were just one person, and now they have an employee, and they may have had a SEP IRA, for example, just for themselves when they started their business, but now they have an employee and they want to provide retirement benefits for their employee as well. So I help them bring that additional employee onto the company SEP IRA retirement account. But it really ranges. It ranges from, any aspect of whatever financial thing that someone needs help with. It really ranges.
So do you ever have anyone come to you for things like health insurance, or no, it has to be financial?
Oh, no, that's part of it. When I say insurance, covering all different types of insurance. So let me list out the insurance. So it's health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, car insurance. If someone is working with you as a financial planner and you have their comprehensive package of services and they're looking at your entire financial picture, they're looking at all of those types of insurances. And specific to your question relating to healthcare insurance, so I might have a couple that might come to me, and both of their employers might offer different health plans, and they might not understand how to go through and compare, okay, which of these plans makes sense for, me and my family. Is it my husband's? Is it the wife's plan? So that's one of the things in terms of health insurance I look and I can help clients with.
Okay, that's great to know. And then I know recently, I'd mentioned you when I was talking about entrepreneurs that people should know to help them grow their finances and their business. And we talked about things that you do, and that's I just want to kind of clarify. I'd mentioned you kind of help people maybe with managing their debt and how to actually save their money so that they can do things like buy a house. Just to clarify, those are services that you also offer.
Yep. So looking at your debt, looking at your finances in a comprehensive way, definitely includes looking at your debt, because there's not very much savings gonna happen if you've got a lot of debt lined up. So one of the things that you definitely need to tackle first when you're working with someone who's helping you to manage your money, that's definitely something they're going to be wanting to know about, is definitely what kinds of debt, how much debt, and so forth, to make
Gotcha.
sure that, okay, maybe we're first knocking out some of this debt, or having some combo of knocking out debt and putting a little towards savings at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense. So for someone that's watching this show and they're like, I want to contact Dawn, I want to discuss, her services, how she could help me. Do they need to have like certain documents prepared or certain things lined up in their life? A lot of people, especially in our communities, feel like we have to have our ducks in a row first, right?
Mhm.
Um, or can they just come to you and say, hey, I'm Tia, here I am. Let's just start from square one. What's the best way to approach working with you or get ready to work with you?
Well, the best way is to just get started. So I was laughing as you were laying out, that example, because it always reminds me of, if you hire a house cleaner, but you clean up a little
House
before they
first.
come, and you
Mhm.
don't want them to see how really dirty your house is. I liken it to that same thing. So the best way to get started with working with a financial planner is to just get started, because guess what? If you were, able to go ahead and get every all your ducks in a row, you probably would have done it, and you don't probably need the financial planner. So just get started. We don't care about the dirty clothes laying around. Like, we understand that's why you come to us, because there are some things you might not even know how much debt you have. There are just some things you do not have a firm handle on, and that's why you are seeking our counsel. So you do not need to prepare. In I'm speaking about me personally as a
Mhm.
financial planner. You don't need to prepare to come and work with me. There's also something else I want to touch on. A lot of financial firms, financial planning firms, and advisement firms will say that you need to invest a certain amount with them in order to begin working with them. I do not have that as a stipulation. You don't have to invest a certain amount with me, or whatever the case may be. You don't even have to have take on my full comprehensive package. If there's just one thing you want to work with me on, debt, that's totally an option as well. So
Oh,
so there are many ways you can come to a financial advisor and try to work with them, and it can be piecemeal, it can be something comprehensive, it can be just investments, but there are many options.
okay, that's great to know. And actually, you've kind of led us into my next question, which is, we know that there are people out there that do offer similar services. We're not going to, of course, promote them or really talk about them. But what I want to know from you is what sets you apart. If someone, sees you and your information lying on the table next to someone else, what should that person say, hey, I need to go and talk to Dawn? Like, what reasons would you give them?
Well, first and foremost, if you're a small business owner, I would say that would set me apart in working with people because I have been a small business owner for more than 10 years, and small business owners are definitely my target audience. Though those are where my skills are very strong, in that I have had practical application not only in working with other small business owners, but also in my own personal business life for the last 10 years. So there's a lot there that I can share. I also say that, like I said, like in the bio you read on me, women tend to be my clients. I do have more women clients. I have had more women clients over the years than men. It was not by design. It's just sort of worked out that way. So now, when I talk about my business, I usually talk about women and working with women small business owners. I would say another thing that sets me apart, I mentioned earlier, that you do not have to invest a certain amount with me in order to work with me. And another thing that sets me apart is that I'm fee only. And a lot of consumers may not understand what that means, but in the industry, that's industry talk. And what that means is that when you come to me, you're working with me. I'm not, so if I give you a recommendation on some type of insurance that you might need, you don't have to worry that I'm getting a kickback from an insurance agency. So I do not sell insurance. And that is actually by design. I didn't want to have the conflict of interest. I wanted my clients to be comfortable if I was suggesting a type of service, whether it's insurance or some other type of, service that or product that they might need, that I was basing that information on the information they shared with me about their finances, and not because I'm getting a kickback. So fee only means I don't get any kickbacks or referral fees or any other type of fees from any other type of organization. I only get the fee you pay me for the service I provide for you.
Okay, great. That is great to know. And some amazing distinguishing factors because there are a lot of people out there that you can tell they're like driven by the fees they get from other people. And,
Mhm.
just having the expertise and the knowledge you do with it more, I'm sure that you say 10 years, I'm sure it's more than 10 years of experience definitely set you apart. So, great. Thank you so much for that. Um, Okay, so marketing plays a big part in our businesses, right? How we attract
Mhm.
customers, how we keep them. How do you find that at this point in time you're reaching the people that need your services? And did you kind of create the marketing strategy that you have now at the beginning of your business, or has it evolved over time?
It's definitely it evolved over time. Like I said, when I started my business years ago, I did not have a marketing plan.
Yeah,
So I now have learned the importance of having a marketing plan. But
definitely.
with that in place, in my experience, nothing has beat word of mouth for me. So yes, I, advertise on pretty much a good number of social media platforms, but the majority of the folks who come to me, it's word of mouth, it's friends, it's family, it's friends of friends. That's how I get the majority of my business.
Yeah, nothing like the power of word of mouth, definitely. It is a
Yes.
testament to how wonderful, you are in the service that you provide. Do you have, and I don't know if this is exactly the best question to ask to someone in your industry, but do you have like a success story? So, for example, someone that you worked with and they were maybe a little skeptical or they didn't know what to expect, but you kind of maybe overwhelmed them with your service.
I would say I could share one small piece. And there are actually a bunch of small scenarios like this on my website as well, and I think I'll share
Perfect.
one that's up there.
Yeah.
So, I worked with a small business owner, and they needed to have a they wanted to implement a health plan for the business. So they came to me and asked me if I might be able to help them out. And I was able to work with them and they only had one other employee, so I was able, and there are not a lot of insurance companies that will really kind of deal
Okay,
with
that's
a
fine.
business that, doesn't have a lot of employees that they're going to be
Mhm.
making, a good amount of money from. So, but for small businesses, thankfully, a lot of states have put into place programs specific, state specific programs for small businesses that do not have a large number of employees. So, using those types of programs, knowing that they exist out there, they were able to not only get a company health insurance plan, but also get one that had lots of tax benefits for the business owner. So that, and I would say, yes, that client was
Yeah.
definitely a happy camper. So,
Definitely. Yeah, it sounds like yeah, and that's why I was gonna tell people, like, there's no need for us to try to figure it all out, right? There
right,
are people like yourself that are very knowledgeable about, like you said, stuff in the state, stuff in the federal. Like, it's better to contact you, right?
right.
Instead of me trying to make a mess of things, trying to figure things out myself. Um,
I
but
think, can I add something there, Tia?
yeah, go
It
ahead.
also it also saves time because
Exactly.
I'm familiar with things, or advisors like me are familiar with things in certain, areas of finances that you might not be familiar with. So you might spend a lot of time looking for something, and I might be able to pull that, within 1 second, know exactly where to look to get the answer we need. So,
Exactly. Definitely a huge time saver. What do you say to women, people of color in particular? And I know this doesn't just apply to people of color, but we tend to be a little bit more skeptical in our communities. When they talk about like financial planning or financial resources, they're like, I'm not a business. Like they come up with a ton of different reasons, and some of them may be valid, but they kind of feel like services um, are optional, right? They feel like the only thing they need to do is get up and go to work or get up and sell their product, and that's the only thing that they have to do. They don't realize that services like yours exist. Excuse me. When they either they don't realize it, or when they find out, they feel like it's optional. And not just services like yours. Like a lot of times people feel the same way about legal services, right?
mhm.
They feel like those other things outside of the main focus of their job or their business are optional. What do you say to those people that feel like, hey, this is just an option. I don't need to plan for buying a house, or I don't need to manage my dad, or I don't need to talk to anybody about, my insurance. Like, what do you say to them to make them realize that maybe this isn't optional? This is something they really need to be focused on.
Well, I would say two things about that. Number one, it might be considered optional or discretionary because they might not have the extra funds to put this into their budget. So in that regard, like, I get that. But if you do have the funds and are able to hire someone to look at your finances and help you manage them, I would say you might want to err on the caution of doing that than not doing that. Now, I also admit, as a financial advisor, there's been some bad apples out there, and the industry I have chosen to get into, does not have the best reputation. I understand that, and that's one of the reasons that, I got into this field because, school never taught me financial literacy. And so, as I became adult and started, having all these milestone, financial moves that I needed to make, like buying a house or getting married and that sort of thing, like I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know anything about these types of things, life insurance and that sort of thing. So, and a lot of the people that came my way didn't look like me. So, that one of the reasons I'm in this is to, number one, be one of the growing number of folks of color who are in this profession and trying to help other people of color. And to also, by doing things like trying to make sure I have very few conflicts of interest, like sell insurance in addition to recommending insurance. I try to avoid that so that my clients can feel that I am being transparent and I am, being upfront with them. And so that I can try to chip away as little, it's going to take time over any hesitancy and that sort of thing. So, I understand it,
Yeah,
but I just try to talk with clients who come my way or potential clients that come my way and to make them share with them how I try to make sure I'm addressing some of the concerns that I know are out there and lingering in the field of financial advising.
definitely. Thank you. Okay. So, in addition to introducing our audience and the RETV audience to you as a resource and someone that can help them with their needs. We also try to provide information that people are like, oh, I want to start a business or I want to change my industry. This is something that I might want to get into. So, what advice would you give someone that's like, hey, I want to be a financial management expert in terms of taking the steps to obtain education or to start their own business? And then also, do you offer mentoring services or consulting services if someone wanted to reach out and ask you questions about how to get started?
I am totally open to speaking with other folks who are interested in getting into this field. I would say, do your due diligence because this is not the curriculum that's required in the studying that you have to do to pass the exams to become a independent registered investment advisor. It's not something you just jump in like haven't put in all the thought. The tests are very rigorous. They're hours long, and they're talking about topics that you probably haven't been familiar with in the course of your life. So I would say definitely have as many informational interviews and get to know what's out there in terms of getting yourself brought up to speed so that you can pass the test. But yes, I'm open to speaking with
Okay,
individuals
perfect. Thank
because
you.
that's when I started. I had a series of informational interviews with different individuals. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's always really important to be willing to talk to other people because, sometimes they don't have a resource. So someone might be like, hey, now I have Dawn. I can ask her some questions. So thank you. I appreciate that.
yes.
Definitely. Okay. So one last final question and then we'll wrap up. Before we end, I always like to ask our entrepreneurs because everyone has different background, different experience. But we all tend to see kind of what goes on in social media, excuse me, right now, which is that everyone's an expert or you earlier you mentioned how you didn't have a marketing plan, but now and you've worked on a plan. Everyone's at a different level of being an
hmm
entrepreneur or a business owner. So, what advice would you give a new entrepreneur or a fellow entrepreneur to help them improve their processes? Like, based upon some of the things you see out there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in your industry, it could just be something you see on social media and you're like, gosh, I wish this entrepreneur knew this. Or I see a whole bunch of entrepreneurs doing the same thing and I wish I could help them maybe do it better or start over. Or it could be something as simple as saying like invest in a business plan from the beginning of your business, anything like that. What advice would you give another entrepreneur? And specifically if it could be advice for entrepreneur of color, that would be great. But if it's advice you would give any entrepreneur, that's fine too.
I would say, do something that you really love and enjoy doing. Like that might sound trite, and you may have heard that a gazillion times. And the reason why you've heard it a gazillion times is because it's so true. No matter what business you are in, there's a lot of heavy lifting if you're out there on your own doing it. Even if you're partnering with other people to do it, again, you are out there on your own in a way that you've never been as an employee on your own trying to build a business. And it's hard, it's tough. There are days where, you're going to get discouraged. Every day is not going to be like an award winning like super exciting day. A lot of it is really head to head down, hitting the pavement, putting in the groundwork. So whatever you do, just make sure you love it you're passionate about it. And I really think if you have that good foundation about why you are starting this business, then everything else comes and it sort of makes sense. And no one can do it like you do it because you're going to have your own unique, look and take on it. So I just think really being grounded in why and really knowing that this is something I want to spend, I don't know, the next 5, 10, maybe it's something you're going to do for the rest of your life. But just having that initial groundwork of really being in it because it's something you want to do and not just because the buck that might come from it. Because
Hmm.
that buck might not come for a long time as a
Exactly.
as a startup.
Yeah, definitely. That is great advice. Thank you. And finally, we always want to make sure that we are supporting you in your endeavors. So, do you, and I'm not sure if you offer like lunches and learns or webinars or have any special events coming up, but if you do, feel free to tell us about anything you have coming up, or if you have any, I hate to use the word freebie or opt in, I guess is a better word. If you have any, thing like that, we'll definitely make sure we share all your social media and your website down below. But if you have any events or opt-ins or anything like that that you'd like to share with us, please tell us now.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I have a blog, I have a podcast, I'm doing all that good stuff. I'm on,
Oh, perfect.
all the social medias, but something that's ongoing, and especially since a lot of my work is with small business owners, and most of them tend to be persons of color that I work with. I have I have basically a video I created of me presenting recommendations to an actual fictional client. Because if you've never worked with a financial planner before, you might not know what that means. Okay, so I give you all my documents, but what does that mean at the end of the day? So I actually made a video of myself just explaining a couple of recommendations to a fictional client using all the technology and stuff that I would use in an actual real life situation. So I
Oh,
have that, and that information is presented in the information I submitted to you. And the
yeah.
individuals can just email me, and I can email them that video presentation. I think it's no more than like 5 to 7 minutes. So
Okay.
you can actually get a sense of, okay, what is it like to sit down and hear from
Yeah.
Dawn? Yeah.
Definitely. That's very helpful. Thank you, John. So yeah, we'll definitely make sure we include that. And just to make sure we have it as well, what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Boss Lady Financials.
Love it. That is very memorable as well. All right, so we'll make sure we include all of your information because we always encourage our audience and our community to like follow and share your information because your expertise and your education is invaluable. And we definitely also want to support people of color.
And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for spending this time and allowing us to feature you on Entrepreneur Insider. Be sure to contact Dawn today. Ask her any questions that you may have, inquire about her services, and definitely be sure to share her with your community. All of her information is posted down below in the show notes. Now, if you'd like to be featured in an upcoming episode or sponsor an episode, be sure to email me at info@theblackentrepreneursnetwork.com. As always, the show is brought to you in partnership with Relationship Entertainment Television. Be sure to subscribe, hit that red button if you haven't already, and watch their full lineup of positive and engaging programming. While you're there, hit the bell so you're notified when new episodes of Entrepreneur Insider premiere every Thursday at 6 p.m. right here on RETV. Until next time, don't forget, be great. Peace.
Well, they do that, cause we do that though. I see you talking, so we gon' take it there. And yeah, talking cheap, so don't do
This is Tyron
and Nicole with your weekly RATV news break. Each Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, we'll come to you with the latest news, trends, and more with a positive spin.
We know there's a lot of positive news that doesn't get reported, but we want to give you the opportunity to share your story here on RATV. If you have a positive news story you want us to share, you can submit your story to news@re-tv.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Relationship Entertainment Television YouTube channel. Download the new RATV Live app on your mobile device and follow Relationship Entertainment Television on your favorite social media platform.
Don't forget, make sure you tune into the RATV News Break each Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be blessed and be great.
Growing up in the church, we saw a lot. Things that people refuse to talk about. The elephants in the room. Mental illness, sexual abuse, broken families, domestic violence, and so much more. The Big E, The Elephant in the Room, is a show that sheds light on these topics. We're here to speak about the unspeakable.
Welcome to What's Going On? My name is Demita Joe. Each Wednesday, you can find me here at 3 p.m. I'll be over here discussing different things that are going on and try to bring you a boost of positivity for your week because we all need this. We're going to share some feel-good stories. We might find a hometown hero. We may take a look at some trending topic. And sometimes we might even find a lesson in a not-so-warm and fuzzy story if we can. I'm Demita Joe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode right here on What's Going On?
Hey, it's your girl Tia Robertson. I'm the host of Entrepreneur Insider. Right here on RATV every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for entrepreneurs and news that you need to know about. See you there.